जय हिंद दोस्तों, मैं हूं मेजर मोहम्मद अली शाह और मेरे को भी बहुत खुशी हो रही है कि मैं अभी अपने एक बहुत पुराने चाइल्डहुड फ्रेंड मैं बोलूंगा उनके साथ अभी गुफ्तगू में होऊंगा, जो दरअसल एक बहुत ही अच्छी मेंटोर रह चुकी हैं, बहुत ही अच्छी मोटिवेशनल स्पीकर हैं। इनके टॉक्स, भाई लोग पीपल स्वेयर बाय हर टॉक्स, इतने प्रभावित होते हैं इनके टॉक्स सुन के दैट उन पे जो असर पड़ता है। एंड शी स्पेशलाइजेस in lot of things. One of the things are harassment at workplace. Right now, it's a very current trending topic because we all know about what happened with Anna Sebastian, the 26-year-old professional from Pune, and then there was another team worker, very good team worker in Thailand, and I believe when she had asked for leave and her manager did not give leave, so she came to office and then 20 minutes of logging on, she passed away on the desk. This was news just about a fortnight back. So similarly, such things keep happening. And then we have renowned mentors like Pallavi Balhotra, who I'm used to calling her Pallavi Chaudhary. Actually, तो मेरे मुंह से slip होता है because her surname was Pallavi Chaudhary. Her father is from the same regiment as us. He's also a gunner officer, and she's a Fauji's daughter, a Fauji's wife. Well, I would say an ex-Fauji now, both ways. And खास बात यह है कि इनके हस्बैंड ने 26 असम राइफल्स में सर्विस दी है, वही 26 असम राइफल जिसमें मैंने भी सर्विस दी है। और ये मणिपुर, जो कि मैं हमेशा कहता हूँ my favorite state and the most beautiful state in the country. She's been there a couple of times. She knows the culture. But right now we'll talk to Pallavi on harassment at workplace. Pallavi, Jai Hind, and thank you very much for taking our time.
Thank you so much for having me over. And it's an absolute pleasure to be here. So, like you said, I've been doing these talks, I've been taking these talks on sexual harassment, women empowerment, a whole lot of things. And the reason being, it's a burning topic, it's a burning issue. It needs to be addressed, and we need to face it and just go with the flow and say that certain things are not all right and address those issues. So I've worked in companies like IBM, Dell, Standard Chartered, and this is something which I've always experienced. People around me have experienced uh, at some level or the other. There is always some kind of harassment which is on. Um, I would like to say that this is not something which is gender based. It happens, it can happen to anybody, but mostly it is the women who suffer. Uh, but yeah, it can happen to anyone.
Right. But very interestingly, you said mostly women who suffer from it, and बिल्कुल सब जानते हैं कि women do suffer from it. मगर आपसे एक दिलचस्प सवाल पूछता हूँ मैं थोड़ा घूम के, ये है that if a woman takes advantage of this, कि भाई because the law favors the women and makes false accusation on somebody and झूठ बोल के और उनको फंसा देती हैं, तो ऐसी without any proof, obviously with the proof it cannot be substantiated, उनके साथ क्या किया जाए?
So देखिए, ये जो आप ये issues हैं, ये exist करती हैं, and like you're saying कि ऐसे false cases भी होते हैं, and जब हम लोग बात करते हैं एक organization में harassment की, तो एक committee होती है, जैसे आप फौज में रह चुके हैं, right? वहाँ पे भी बहुत सारे इंक्वायरीज होती हैं, कोर्ट ऑफ इंक्वायरी होती है, एक प्रोसेस होता है, एक प्रोसीजर होता है। कोई भी एक इंसान के ऊपर जाके एक आरोप लगा दे और बाकी दुनिया उसको मान ले, ऐसा तो कहीं पे भी नहीं होता है। सो इन एनी ऑर्गेनाइजेशन you will always find a committee which is formed. Whenever there is a harassment case, whether it's a sexual harassment, it is any other workplace related harassment, a committee is formed for sexual harassment. There is there is a procedure, right? And मैं आपको एक कहानी बताती हूँ इसके बारे में, सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट के ऊपर और या वर्क प्लेस में जो सेफ्टी की रिक्वायरमेंट है उसके ऊपर। यू नो दैट हमारा जो लॉ सिस्टम है, we follow this Indian Penal Code, which was formed in 1860, and most of the crimes come under that code. उसमें सेक्सुअल हैरेसमेंट को लेके कुछ बहुत बड़ी चीज़ नहीं थी, वर्क प्लेस हैरेसमेंट को लेके बहुत लॉ ऐसे हमारा कुछ ज़्यादा इस्टेब्लिश नहीं था। एक घटना घटी थी 1992 में राजस्थान में, एंड यू मस्ट बी अवेयर ऑफ द विशाखा कमिटी. It's a women's organization. So there was a lady called भवरी देवी, जो एक साथन का काम करती थी राजस्थान में, एंड वो एक चाइल्ड मैरिज वगैरह को प्रिवेंट करती थी. उन्होंने एक साल की बच्ची की शादी रोकी थी, एंड उसको लेके वहाँ के लोग काफ़ी भड़क गए थे, जो मेन फोक थे, तो उनको हैरेस करना शुरू किया. भवरी देवी, टू कट अ लॉन्ग स्टोरी शॉर्ट, शी वेंट टू द कॉप्स. They didn't take much action. Then, further enraged, the men decided to have a, yeah, they decided to have a, they raped her. There was a gang rape which happened. And that is when the women actually got enraged, and there was this Vishaka committee and other smaller committees which got together. And then they started fighting this case, and that is when there was actually a law which was formed. As per that law, there has to be a prevention, there has to be a prohibition on these things, and if something like this harassment happens, there has to be a redressal. So whenever something like this happens, there is a committee which is formed. So जब आप ये सवाल पूछते हो मुझसे कि अगर एक झूठा केस हुआ तो उसको प्रूफ करने के लिए वहाँ पे बहुत सारे लोग बैठे हैं, एंड अगर किसी के साथ कोई हादसा हो रहा है, कोई हैरेसमेंट हो रही है, तो उनको भी प्रूफ देना पड़ता है, सिर्फ जाके बोल देने से नहीं हो जाता है. So that is how
Right.
this entire thing came into play.
So if it's proved wrong that, okay, first करिए, I'll give you just a hypothetical situation, though, and this bears no resemblance to anyone, but it could be pure coincidental. Supposing एक lady boss है और उनके subordinates men हैं, and of course, I mean, so कौन कहता है कि only male bosses will indulge in wrong things? It can be a lady boss as well.
Absolutely. एंड ये जो लॉ है ये सबके लिए है, ये कहीं पे भी नहीं लिखा है कि ये लॉ जो है ये सिर्फ लेडीज के लिए है. इट्स नॉट फॉर मेन, इट्स फॉर एवरीवन. तो अगर उनके साथ अगर हैरेसमेंट हो रहा है, इफ इट्स अ मैन हु इज हैविंग टू सफर लाइक दिस, देन इट्स द सेम प्रोसेस, the same complaint will be raised, a similar committee is going to be there, and similar proofs are going to be required. एंड अकॉर्डिंगली जो एक मेल बॉस के ऊपर एक्शन होगा वही एक फीमेल के ऊपर भी होगा. लॉ इज लॉ, राइट? अगर आप कल को जाके एक किसी का खून कर दो तो आप ये नहीं बोल सकते हो कि मैं एक आदमी हूँ तो मुझे सजा मिलेगी, और एक लेडी ये नहीं बोलेगी कि मैं एक लेडी हूँ तो मुझे सजा नहीं मिलेगी. सजा सबको मिलती है. So accordingly, an action takes place for everybody. So,
Right.
but yeah, what happens is a lot of times इन चीज़ों को प्रूव करना मुश्किल हो जाता है. So whenever I would say, अगर आप किसी के ऊपर ये केस करना चाह रहे हो तो you should have your own facts in place, right? Otherwise you're just going to be fighting a battle which is already lost.
True, very true. And अगर ऐसा कोई आरोप लगता है and one is unable to substantiate it both ways, male female, because आजकल me too दौर चला था, खास तौर से बम्बई फिल्म इंडस्ट्री में, in the creative arts, and where the people in position of power, they would exploit the people who are lesser privileged basically. तो उसी तरीके से ये corporate world में भी होता आ रहा है, और हम इस को नजरअंदाज कर रहे थे काफी टाइम तक, लेकिन आज तक ये अभी एक जबरदस्त मुहिम चली है about getting people booked who indulge in these malpractices, unethical ways, and who deal in lies. So अगर substantiate हो जाता है कि किसी ने आरोप लगाया, किसी ने accusation लगाया और वो accusation सही नहीं था, तो फिर what could be the implication, Pallavi?
जब एक चीज प्रूव होती है तो उसका भी एक सेट, वो जो बोलते हैं, जो एक स्टेटमेंट बना दिया जाता है कि या लाइक समथिंग इज प्रूव, देन इट्स नॉट अ सेट पैटर्न. अगर कोई किसी को हैरेस कर रहा है और बोल रहा है कि आते जाते बस देखते हैं, even looking at somebody in which makes the other person uncomfortable is harassment, right? पर आप उसके चक्कर में उनको जेल नहीं भेज सकते हो. So there are different categories. आप उनको फिर एक warning दोगे, right? If it continues, you'll give a warning letter, or you will, suspend them at the most. But if somebody actually goes ahead and gets physical, then it becomes a bigger crime. So similarly, अगर कोई चीज़ प्रूव नहीं होती है, किसी ने अगर झूठ बोला है, तो उसका भी जो रिपरकशन होता है, वो उसके अकॉर्डिंग होता है कि उन्होंने किस चीज़ को लेके बोला है. अगर कोई बोले कि सिमिलर एग्जाम्पल अगर मैं दूं कि आते जाते कोई बोल दे कि वो मेरे को बार बार घूर रहा है, जबकि वो नहीं घूर रहा है, सो उसमें कुछ you will probably just counsel the person. That's where it starts from. You tell the person that, what, you can't go ahead and put this kind of blame on somebody else. But अगर कुछ बहुत ज्यादा उन्होंने बड़ा आरोप लगाया है, तो उसके अकॉर्डिंगली फिर एक्शन लिया जाएगा. सस्पेंड हो जाते हैं, people lose their jobs. And in corporates, these things are taken very seriously. And when you say, like you were talking about this case which had happened, which has been in the news recently, um, it's not just sexual harassment, it can be any kind of harassment.
Correct.
And there is always a trigger. नहीं होता ऐसा कि आप एक कंपनी ज्वाइन करो and there is an instant dislike, right? Nobody is sitting there with a vengeance कि अच्छा, a new person has come, I'm just going to get after this person. There is a build up. So for understanding any kind of harassment, you need to get into the details of it, that why there is a build up. What is it that is triggering it? It doesn't need to be sexual. Sometimes it can just be as something as small as somebody taking too many leaves. And the boss says, all right, you know what? This is it. I'm going to not be all right with this. And that's when the harassment starts. That's not a sexual harassment, but it's a different kind of harassment. And again, there is a committee to handle that as well. So at any point of time, I would say any person, be it a boss, और ज़रूरी नहीं है कि वो एक बॉस ही हैरेस कर रहा हो. बहुत बार होता है कि एक एम्प्लॉय भी, मतलब जो जूनियर है, वो भी बॉस को हैरेस कर सकता है. So whenever any person feels unsafe, any person feels that there is any kind of harassment which is taking place, our gut is something which is the first thing which tells us, right? Incident to baad mein hoga. First thing to listen to is your own instincts, your own gut. And when your gut says something is wrong, it's time to deep dive, figure out what it is, try and get out of it. And if you think you're stuck in a situation, seek help. There is always help available. Corporates have to have a committee, otherwise they themselves will be doing something which is illegal. So this help is always there, and I always tell people, speak up. Don't be quiet. Don't wait for something big to happen. When you feel that small something is happening, raise your voice and put an end to it. And that's the way to go about it.
Right. You spoke so well and you threw some very good light on this. पल्लवी, जाते आपसे आखिरी सवाल. आपने इतना अच्छा बोला है, आपने इतना अच्छा इसके बारे में, you threw some light. I would like to ask you a hypothetical situation. Tomorrow, if you get a call and the call is from, say, TEDx, and they say,
Okay.
ma'am, we would like to invite you to speak on a TEDx event. And what topic would you like to speak on?
See, I've been into this forum of conducting talks and stuff for a very long time. I used to train people as well in corporates, so I've always had the experience of standing in front of a huge crowd and talking. And thanks to the background that I come from, the army background, exposed to a lot of things, a lot of culture, a lot of, different things in life. Travel every 2 years, new cities, new place, new people. So I think talking is something which I can talk on anything. I mean, I would love to talk about the travels that, as a child, the places that I've gone to. I would love to talk about women empowerment. I can talk about culture. And, initially you said I've been to Manipur. I can talk on Manipur. So it could be anything.
Right. Lovely.
I just believe that when you talk sensible, you talk sense, you say the right thing, and rest all falls in place, as long as you're not cooking stories and you're not, misusing the space which has been provided to you. rest everything works.
Right. You have mentioned that sometime back you mentioned about listening to your gut and your instincts. Your gut feeling says this. My gut
Always.
feeling says कि आपका बहुत जल्दी फोन बजने वाला है और आपको TEDx पे जिताने वाला है. So be ready
Thank
with that.
you. Thank you
Yes.
so much. I will
Pallavi,
go with your gut feeling this time.
absolutely. Thank you so much for taking our time. It was really, truly a wonderful and a pleasure speaking to you, Pallavi. और
Thank you
जाते
so
जाते
much,
हमारे
Harassment.
व्यूअर्स के लिए कोई आखिरी संदेश आपकी तरफ से.
Listen to your gut all the time.
Very well
That's it.
said. Thank you very much, Pallavi.
Thank you so
And
much.
my regards to your sister Sahana and to Pawan as well. And
My regards to your family.
thank you, Pallavi.
All right.
Take care.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
Bye. Take care. Cheers.